Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK Journey video. In this video, as you guys can see, we have the new Graveborn hero Callan. The AFK Journey official YouTube channel just uploaded the trailer a few minutes ago of him. It will be like the skill preview and first look at it, where I'm excited to get into it. Let's go ahead and begin watching the trailer.
When he studied magic during his lifetime, he would lock himself in his room for days. He was always serious, but also very stubborn. Now, his soul is trapped inside a golem. A golem he built with his own hands. His pain is something only I can feel.
Okay guys, so we have first bit of information, A level, Graveborn physical tank with the range of 1. So he's going to be a tank hero, which he definitely looks like that.
Am I right, Callan?
Okay, so he has shielding, damage sharing mechanic like Thorin with the Soul Pact, damage reflection, team stun, arena and supreme arena, so a PvP oriented hero. Synergizes well with Hugin, I guess, for more shielding, Lucius shielding, and Shakir for more tankiness for the front line.
As a tank from the Graveborn faction, Callan looks like a tomb guarding machine with no self-awareness. His ultimate skill, Restless Guardian, gives him incredible defense.
Oh, he gains defense as well.
Callan cannot move, but gains a strong shield and becomes immune to control effects. While the shield is active, Callan takes damage for any ally.
So we have the buff effect onto all of the allies, and that must be taking, like, basically that Callan will be taking some of the damage for his nearby allies.
Within range, the shield value reduces over time.
Reduces over time, okay, as it is
Callan
defeated.
enters the fight when it's gone. When
Okay, and the shield is going to expire after a certain time into the battle, and then he will enter the fight.
Restless Guardian is actively used.
He gains the shield again.
Casts magic continuously for a while, gaining a shield and becoming unaffected, while taking damage for allies within range.
So the unaffected, is it from the beginning of the battle or only on the active cast? Did it say anything about unaffected on the beginning? At the start of the battle, I think he's also unaffected,
Callan
right?
cannot move, but gains the...
Yeah, okay, so basically the passive and active are going to be exactly identical. It just means that he's going to begin with this casting with the shield and the damage absorption for nearby allies and being immune to control effects. Really interesting. And if you put him in the front line tile position, he will be buffing up or taking the damage from most of your allies. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the next skill we have.
Allies within range. With his second skill, Flail Slam, Callan swings his flails at a single target, then slams the ground, knocking...
Oh wow, okay, cool. So he does 3 hits, the third hit is a knockdown in an arc, and it looks like it has a decent range to it.
Down all enemies in a rectangular area in front of him.
Oh, rectangular area, okay.
Damage to them.
Thought it was a triangle.
Those heavy flails. Only he, in his current state, might be able to wield them. With his third skill...
Okay, so knockdowns, that's synergized with Ulmus, right? And Ulmus already is pretty dominant in PvP. Let's move on to the next skill.
Eternal Watch. Callan can store damage absorbed by his shield as power. When Eternal Watch is actively used, he releases this stored power, dealing an equal amount of damage to all enemies in range.
That is crazy. That looks like pretty crazy damage. So he absorbs it. That's a damage reflection element. Wow. But it has to be to enemies within range, so it will probably be the frontline enemy targets. Like, this will not be attacking the back line. But really, honestly, pretty interesting. I want to take a look back at the cooldowns of this. So the Flail Slam has a 5-second cooldown. Okay, with haste it can go down a bit lower than that. And the other one that we just saw, Eternal Wrath, 5-second cooldown, converts the damage absorbed by his shield into Golem's Might. When the stored Golem's Might reaches a threshold, unleashes it to deal AoE damage. Okay, interesting. We'll have to know exactly the multipliers, how much damage reflection will be happening, and is it exactly like equal, like 1-to-1? If you absorb, like, for example, 1 million damage, are you going to reflect 1 million damage?
After unlocking his exclusive skill, Hollowed Wrath, if his health or any non-summoned ally's health drops below a certain value, Callan lets out a roar, stunning all enemies and dealing damage multiple times.
Whoa.
Callan's high defense stats.
Okay, wait. It says the skill can only be used once per battle. Oh, that's... I don't... Can only be used once per battle. I mean, it is a really cool effect. The fact that you can stun all enemies when he unleashes this. But if they're immune to control effects, they will not be stunnable. So like it isn't technically going to always be all of the enemies. The damage I'm not really as interested in. He's a tank hero. I doubt he's going to be that hard hitting of a damage dealer. But I think the stun is pretty cool. But we need to see how long is the stun effect going to last for. Yeah, once per battle when Callan, only one time per battle, and that is a skill description, so I think with the exclusive equipment upgrade, probably not going to increase. When Callan or an ally's HP drops low, he unleashes a devastating attack, dealing massive damage to nearby enemies. Oh, only nearby enemies, and stunning them. Okay, that changes things, guys. If it's only nearby enemies, honestly, I don't think this is that game-changing.
Elusive skill, Hollowed Wrath. If his health or any non-summoned ally's health drops below a certain value, Callan lets out a roar.
But they're pretty far away. Okay, I think this wording might be different to the actual, how it is, maybe that was testing and now this is the actuality, because that merely is not close. That is not a nearby enemy by any means. She's like 5 tiles away. So it is gonna stun, like even the back line.
Stunning all enemies and dealing damage multiple times.
That is pretty cool.
Callan's high defense stats make him a powerful protector.
But this is showing you how it can get awkward. For example, well, I guess at this point of the match, like, you're probably going to win. But if the Callan walks up to the enemy backline and you have your backline heroes, like long-range heroes, they're going to be outside of the range of the damage absorption. So I think that's why he's going to dominate with other melee heroes. That's why they said Shakir. So I think it's going to be kind of like a melee meta.
Perfect as a solid frontliner who takes damage to safeguard nearby allies. His massive shield makes him a counter for fast attack teams.
Massive shield makes him a counter for fast attack teams. Yeah, and I mean, if you can group up your team and get the value of his damage reduction and absorption and reflection, that can be strong. He will also counter enemies who have multiple melee, like frontline units, because he will reflect the damage back at all of them, right? It just depends how many are within the range of his damage.
And gives him an advantage in tightly packed battles. But his slow movements might make it hard for him to keep up in battles with continuous damage. Yes, right. That heavy mechanical suit, it's really clunky. Clunky enough for Callan to only follow one command, just to keep me safe. Oh, brother.
Okay, overall, I really like the character design. I think he's a really cool character. But let's break it down. I think that is pretty much it. Okay, so recapping some of the abilities, his ultimate ability is really the one which I'm the most intrigued by. The fact that from the beginning of the match, if we just take a look at it over here, from the beginning of the match,
Restless.
From the beginning of the match, he is going to have this in effect, and you can place your allies in a way that he will be able to take damage for as many of them as possible, and then reflect that damage back, and he will be uncontrollable during the duration of this, which is really cool. And then after it wears off, he will be able to cast it again when he charges up his energy, and he can provide the same effect with again, the damage absorption and the damage reflection. I really like his ultimate ability. I think it is really cool. But the first issue with his ultimate is that it will only be protecting your allies who are close by to him. Your long-ranged heroes in the back are not going to be getting any benefit of this. And Bonnie is so dominant in PvP, like especially regular arena, and she's debuffing your backline. And Callan's not going to really do anything to deal with that. And that's kind of the problem. I feel like he might leave your team behind. We even saw a great example of that later on. Yeah, this is my favorite example of that. Basically, leaving your team behind, and Merrily and Val are still attacking the CC in the back, right? So that is kind of the issue with Callan. And of course, the other problem is, even though he has a shield, the shield does look pretty massive, though. I think the shield probably will make him pretty much unkillable. But the other thing I worry about is, like, tanks themselves can actually be nuked down as well. Yeah, like Soren has multiple lives, that's why he's a good option. Callan doesn't have multiple lives, but he does have the shielding whenever he can cast it. Now the knockdown with his Flail slam ability, this one I don't, let's see how long of a duration.
Knocking down all enemies in a rectangular area.
Seems to be about maybe 2 seconds, but with Almas that could be prolonged if you're using Almas in the same team. And there would be synergy between Almas and Callan. because you would have both of them in the front line. He does well with frontline heroes. But yeah, the knockdown duration isn't anything massive, but it is a pretty wide range. And they did say it's in a rectangle, so probably like 2 or 3 tile wide rectangle, which is not bad. But yeah, I don't think this is really too game changing. But I don't know. Knockdown is definitely interesting. I do like it. And the fact that it can knock down multiple enemies, not just the one right in the front next to him. So that is really cool. And then we have Eternal Watch. So the Eternal Watch is just kind of like, is a modifier to his ultimate ability of shielding himself and then being able to reflect the damage back, but only to nearby enemies. That's what we saw over here. It was pretty massive, the amount of damage that came out here, but we will have to do the testing and know the multipliers to figure out how much this is actually going to be. But this is really cool because he's like a tank that not only is just protecting your team, he actually has some kill threat. So it's kind of like Thorin's like damage reflection. He reminds me a lot of Thorin actually, Callan, like in a lot of ways, but more of a team-wide damage reducer rather than a single target. However, I think Thorin is still the safer option because you have that soul pack for the whole match. No matter where Thorin runs to, no matter where the other hero ends up, Callan is only for nearby allies, and also he's protecting more of them, but probably he's not going to be reducing their damage by as much as Thorin. Like Thorin's a 35% damage reduction, which is really high. His Mythic Plus ability, like this one, I'm honestly not a fan of this because, okay, he can stun even backline. First of all, it said only within range, but here it looks like it's a map wide. Like looking at that animation, I think it's going to be map wide. But either way, it seems like a kind of short-ish stun duration, and then you're only able to activate that once per battle. I don't think that is game changing enough. And also, like, for example, the twins, they can make your heroes unaffected, and then they're not going to have any effect of this stun. So I'm not a big fan of his Mythic Plus ability, and that is basically all that we have about Callan. I like his design, he's a cool hero, but honestly speaking, I do not, definitely for Dream Realm, there's going to be no applications, so he's not going to be needed there. For AFK stages, like, he doesn't have enough, right? You don't really need that protection. You need the crowd control and lockdown. And so Iron Almas and then just damage dealers are going to be the way to go. His Flail sweep is not enough crowd control to warrant running him just for that. Like Tamisa would be an even better option. So for AFK stages, I doubt it. PvP is really his only role. And I guess it will come down to the multipliers on his abilities. But I have a tough time believing that he's going to become a meta top tier PvP hero. So most likely, in my opinion, as of right now, is looking like a skip and saving up for your other better heroes which are going to be released. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. You guys can share your own opinions about Callan in the comment section down below. I look forward to seeing those. And if you guys want to join my AFK Journey Discord server, there's a link to that in the description of this video. We chat a lot about everything there, so feel free to join and we can chat about Callan. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until the next one, everyone, peace out for now.